you're probably one of the few that are in the room representing the financial institutions and private sector in general. And we want to know as UBA, what are some of these products or innovations that you have for women MSMEs and young people? That is one. And then two, because we consider you as one of our regional leaders in the banking sector, how can banks like UBA foster gender responsive banking in the country? Over to you.
All right, so thank you very much. My name is Catherine Awar. I work for UBA, and UBA stands for United Bank for Africa. So 4 is in capital, and you'll ask why. So it's because we are for Africans, and all of us here represent this continent. And we keep hearing everyone saying small, medium enterprises, and for us, we have demystified that. We have changed it, and we call it small, medium, emerging businesses. And you'll ask why. Because as you start your graduates, some of you could be 1 year into business, 2 years, 3 years. Everyone is at a different level of business. So we have the small, you could be emerging from small to medium and large. And when we are in financing, it can never be one shoe fits all. We have different solutions for different levels. So if you're a starter, what we've done, our business model is very different from how other financial enterprises have done it. So we have collaborated in different angles. Some of you in here have heard of the Tony Elumelu Foundation, and I'm happy to hear that, to see some of our beneficiaries. So when you are at the starter level, you just have a business idea. You don't even know who you're going to market it to and how. We start you at that level. 0 to 2 years. 0 to 2 years, we start you off from the Tony Elumelu Foundation. And at that level, we don't start you off with a loan. It's a grant. It's a grant to get you started. So every year, January 1st to 31st to 30th March, we go out and we are announcing, we are looking for people to apply to these grants. Some of you here have been beneficiaries. Some have not gotten the money, but they've gotten the training, they've gotten the mentorship. So we are out here looking for entrepreneurs. And sadly, 18% of our beneficiaries, only 18% are women. And the question is, why? Is it about not believing in your business idea? Is it how you pitch? What would be the issue? Because you find our male counterparts are there defending their businesses and their ideas like they've done it for 10 years, yet it is not even a business, it is just starting. So the challenge at that level is, can we have our women stand up for their ideas? It is an idea. We want to start you off with your idea and formalize it into an actual business. So my call to all of us in here is, we want to walk the journey with you from your 0 idea. 0 to 2 years. Anyone 0 to 2 years is open to make applications to the Tony Elumelu Foundation. And we have programs, different programs within this niche. So the first one is just any business, whether male or female. But then we also have businesses that are, we also have a program that is very specific to women, and we call it the Women for Africa program. Green businesses, women, we're looking for you. Keep checking, but every 1st of January, we have opened the portal, tefconnect.com. Even today, if you go into that platform, you can get a lot of information that prepares you to apply. But what do we do? So as UBA, once you have gone through that program, your 2 years, now we graduate you into the bank. Because you have, the assumption is you now have an idea of what you can run as a business. And entrepreneurs, we've seen people who have failed. That failure does not mean you give up. You may have been funded for this particular business because you thought this is where you needed to be. But along the way, you realize it has not happened. But you can start. You can start. You can come forward and say, I was in this business, it never worked because maybe I found it to be very capital intensive and I'm not able to support it. But I want to start with this other idea. We are open for you to come to us and we guide you. For this, you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when you come to the 2-year period where now it starts becoming now the loan, the credit facility, some of the pitfalls, and I'm happy that some of our entrepreneurs have talked about it. When now you actually come into the lending, you've graduated, say for example, from the seed grant, and now you're coming to actual lending. What is in store for you? So I'll start you off by what we have and then what we have seen from entrepreneurs over time and what we can do to help you and what you can correct from where you sit as an emerging business. So we have partnered with the AFCFTA, Africa Free Area, Continental Trade Area. And this is an Africa-wide lending program where as a bank we have actually signed up $6 billion for SMEs. SMEs in Africa, and Kenya is not left out. And you can imagine in Kenya, we have 282 million USD that we are looking for entrepreneurs to grant in different sectors, whether you're in trade, whether you're in agri-processing value chain, whether you're in automotive, whether you're in pharmaceutical, and I've heard some of you talk about, some of, those great businesses that we are looking for. And not just for you to be in Kenya, but to also scale you beyond the borders. So these opportunities are there, but there could be aspects of lack of information. And that's why we have to partner. As I sat here and I was listening to the business pitches, I was like, why have we not partnered with Gracia Michelle? Because this is where we need to scale businesses. So I think as we live here today, that is one of the things we have to do as a bank. Because the opportunities are there. Now, if we look at that program, what have we done and how do we then support you? Beyond AFCFTA, we have also partnered with the Africa Guarantee Fund within the same program. And what does that mean for you as an entrepreneur, and specifically for women? Because under the Women program, you only need 25% collateral. So if you want to borrow 1 million, I'll be coming to only ask you for 25% collateral. And collateral means what? You could be having stock in your business. And we come and assess your stock and say, for this stock, for us to quantify the 25%, if you sell your stock, please, the minimum you need to have in the business at any one time is, say, stock worth 200,000. Isn't that good enough? So we are not asking you for land, we are not asking you for sometimes car. We have different categories of collateral that can stand in to support the loan that we are guaranteeing you. So please, take advantage of that. Number 2.
Oh my dear, 1 minute now.
A very quick one, and this is practical because it really responds to what she was talking about, caring. We've gone out to look for big enterprises that look for women entrepreneurs. And I'll give an example of Safaricom. We're partnering with Safaricom under their Women entrepreneur program, so that we are able to lend to you to give them the facility or supplies they're looking for. And the first place it starts is as simple as that Lipa na M-Pesa till. That Lipa na M-Pesa till that you see, we banks are asking you to apply, and we give you for free, because we are able to now track your business with the payments that come into your business. So for us as UBA, for example, if you have a Lipa na M-Pesa till, I'm able to give you money after you've banked with me for 3 months, because I'm able to see your inflows and outflows at any time. So that is still collateral. And as you do that, KRA, I know some of us say, no, those tills, KRA is tracking me, no, I don't want. Trust me, it is your way of compliance. That is a sure bet for your compliance, because for us as banks, there's nothing as sad as when KRA writes to us and says, company XYZ freeze their accounts because of non-compliance. It is usually a sad state of affair. So it starts, your compliance with KRA starts even with that pay bill or till. That's it. So we encourage you that your documentation, how you track your finances, it starts with as little as just that. So come to us. We give you that till.
Yes.
Partnered with Safaricom. We give it to you for free. All you need is to use it to track how your money is coming in and how you get your money out.
Thank
so
you.
Compliance and documentation, that's one thing and one takeout that we would like to give you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Catherine. How many of you want to know about the UBA and get to sell out of Africa? Aha! I see we are carrying so many of us. By the time we reach to government, you'll be spoiled for choice. Here is the menu. Okay? So pick anything you want for this menu for your business to grow. Okay? Yes. Thank you so much, Catherine. I know there's a lot she can share, and that's why there's a great team of two that she's come with right there where you have the UBA banner. You can please proceed and gather more information about it and see how you can be in the famous SCFTA. Okay? All right.
Please don't forget, and we are a women-led organization. Our CEO is a woman.
Yes. On Nidai, their CEO is also a graduate of the Online Leadership Development Program of the Graça Machel Trust. Yes, and a member of the NFNB. Wow, now see who you'll be brushing shoulders with at NFNB. Don't say we didn't tell you. Okay? So anyway, moving on. Now, we've heard a lot about what the offerings the government, the banks have for us. But we also want to learn the realities of trading, yeah? And with us we have Nadia Hashem, who is a policy economist and also the managing director at Backward Economics Kenya, representing FinEquity. And she also has some great experiences on digital trading, innovations, and how she, how that we can navigate all that. And I'd like to ask you, Nadia, what are some of the digital innovations that youth and young women, entrepreneurs can tap into? That's one, to build, of course, on their business profiles. And then two, what are the policy regulations that on digital financial inclusion that seem to be working, that these young men and women in general can tap into? Over to you.
Thank you. And it's difficult to be towards the end of the panel, I have to say, because so much has already been said that's quite useful and interesting. As you mentioned, I got the memo, by the way, the yellow. Very much. As you mentioned, so I'm here on behalf of FinEquity, which is a community of practice looking at financial inclusion. And GMT is a learning partner along with FST and Digital Frontiers Institute. So I also want to mention that there are quite a number of resources on this topic as well on the FinEquity website, and I use them myself. So I encourage you also to take a look, but I'll speak about it a bit more. When we get into the digital space, a lot has been said, and I think that there are some obvious tools that we need to be using as entrepreneurs. We should be using the digital tools to make our businesses more efficient, right? And then also to improve market access, and to also improve compliance. So the digital side can address all of these issues. We're in an era of social media marketing, so definitely you need to be there. We heard earlier Mercy talking about, do you have a website? So digital presence gives your business legitimacy. So this is necessary. It's not anymore a choice, it's just necessary. Then it's also useful for compliance in terms of records. And my accountant is here. And I can tell you personally, as an entrepreneur, it is so difficult. She's really helping us sort everything out. But I don't know where we would be without the digital tools that we're using. And we're always trying to integrate more and more in terms of digitalizing our business processes, digitalizing our records, and everything that we do. And it's not an easy process, and this is why I would say get help. You don't need to do everything yourself. Mercy is a testament. I mean, we have help to do that. As an entrepreneur, you don't have to do everything yourself. And then, of course, there's the aspect of digital that is supporting access to markets. And here is e-commerce. And we have a number of e-commerce platforms here in Kenya, but we also have e-commerce platforms that can connect us outside the country. And this is where we're talking about the African Continental Free Trade Area, when we're talking about accessing new markets. It's useful to leverage these digital platforms. Now you have to decide, do you need your own e-commerce platform? Or can you leverage a tool that's already out there and get your products or get your services on one of them? So if you're selling your services, you can always join an e-commerce platform that is connecting service providers to people who need those services. If you are selling products, you can work with an existing platform that is selling for your niche, whether that is your type of product or whether that is your end market that you're looking for. So you don't, again, have to have your own trading platform. I want to emphasize this because sometimes we think we need to do everything ourselves, and actually that's not the case. This is where the partnerships really come in handy. And then of course we have the digital payments, and we've talked about M-Pesa, we've talked about the importance of formalizing. And I'll just give one anecdote because this is also an area that I work on, and one of the projects that we're working on. We had a very interesting case of an entrepreneur who was trading in 4 different countries, and all of the transactions were going through her M-Pesa account, even though she had a registered business. And we are trying to, in this project, work closely with the bank and the entrepreneur to improve that relationship, so that the business can understand what does the bank need, and the bank can also understand what is the situation of the business, why am I seeing her as risky? And we are trying to step in to say, what can we do to make the business less risky? And here is where the digital tools can really help. Because if you're digitalizing your payments and your processes, there is a record of that. And if you intend to access financing from the bank, that's what's going to help you. But let me tell you the anecdote that we were able to get her mobile money accounts together, put them together with her business accounts, and still the bank said she's not using banking transactions as her primary. She's using a personal M-Pesa account. So this is still questionable. We can have the data, but until we see the flows coming through the bank, it's going to be difficult to lend to her. And remember, she's doing volumes in 4 different countries, and still we have this problem. So I would say, in the short term, digitalize your payments. Make sure that the payments are going through your bank account. If you intend to access financing from the bank, it's simply done with a pay bill or till. You can ask the banks here. On the other side, I also want to challenge the banks and the other ecosystem partners that we need to be looking at better ways of assessing risk of our entrepreneurs, of all of us. We might have a different way of running business. We might have a different perception that the bank has of us as being risky because of how we operate, because of our confidence, how we present ourselves, how we present our businesses. So I also want to challenge the banks and the ecosystem partners to use new data sources that are coming up and try to find other ways of assessing our risk, and that's something that we do want to be working on. I also want to say that the main thing that we need to look at is whether all these digital solutions are making the gap wider or narrow, and that is up to us in part. So with the digital digitalization of all of this, including business registration, by the way. You do business registration online. Don't spend your time going to offices to get your name registered of your business, right? Just do that online. But now if we have a skills gap or we have an access gap, then we're actually making that a little bit wider. We're making it a little bit more difficult for women to catch up. On the other hand, if we're investing in our digital skills and our access to the digital space, we can actually catch up faster. And that's what mobile money has showed. If you look at the evidence on mobile money, we find that actually gender equality has improved over time in cases with mobile money, that women have equal access even though they face more barriers, we face more barriers. And then this is especially the case when we have fewer intermediaries that are gatekeeping those services from us. So we directly access those services ourselves. It means that we're more empowered in the use of them. And then I just also want to give one example, because we've talked about accessing international markets or the continental market. We've talked about moving to value-added services. And in the pitching competition, it was great because all of the businesses talked about their unique value proposition. And if you look, for example, at the artificial intelligence strategy of Kenya, which is, on the digital side, it's really talking about niche industries and investing in those. And how can we, as Kenyan entrepreneurs, find our niche where there is a demand within the country and outside the country. And here is really the key to growing. If you have a wider market, a wider consumer base outside the country, your business can have a growth mindset. And now we have, I think, a lot of the tools in place, including digital trade tools, digital payments, that can help us reach that market. So I think I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much. Matthew, you can show me 1 minute. When you went overtime with 10. Anyway, but we are on our save the best for last, okay? Yeah, and the reason why it's actually deliberate that we have the representative from NSER last, because the only way we can address mass problems, public concern problems, is through government, okay? So they are here for all of us. In a you see, UBA has a niche. Everyone is like niching, but government is here for all of us. And indeed, what a better way to close this part of the panel than having someone who is for all of us. And Janet, nice to meet you again, and thank you for coming. And you as the person for all of us, and the entity for all of us. We've heard about the great policies what Mercy was presenting, like the MSME policies, the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, and the gender policy as well. Very great policies you've developed, by the way. And we wanted to understand if you could at least pick 1 or 2 provisions of these policies that are specifically touching on women and youth entrepreneurs, and tell us how the implementation looks like for them. And then secondly, we also want to understand, the 2 ladies there spoke about how hectic it is to go to all these different people. From your jurisdiction, of course, how are you simplifying the formalization process of businesses for women and youth? Over to you.
Thank you so much, Juliet. Now, this is the government. The good thing, the government is not alone. I have my boss who will expand on some other issues at later. So before we go to the MSME policy of 2025, it is good to have a little history of where the MSME sector has come from. And it has evolved over time. And one of the key significant things that happened was in 2012, when we had the MSME Act, which was MSC, not MSMEs, MSC Act. By the way, there is a difference. We have micro, we have small, we have medium enterprises, and we have MSC. MSC stands for micro and small. We have SME. SME stands for small and medium. When we combine them, we have micro, small, medium enterprises, what we call the MSMEs. But for the Act of 2012, we was targeting the MSCs, that is the micro and small entrepreneurs. And it was established in 2012 and started being operational in 2013. Now, one of the things that happened within that act was the establishment of Micro and Small Enterprises Authority, where now I stand. And the mandate that the authority was given was the promotion and development of micro and small enterprises. And also the mandate of harmonization and coordination of micro and small enterprises sector. Now, if you look at the sector is very active. The MSME sector is very active. We have so many stakeholders. We have banks, financial institutions, we have NGOs, we have development partners, we have government institutions. But one of the things that was lacking and is still work in progress is the harmonization and coordination of this sector. Because like now you have graduates here who have graduated, and after graduating, what next? Because if you look at most of the if you are talking about the project, what's happened is a project have a lifespan. You have a lifespan of 2 years, but once that lifespan has happened or has ended, what next? Where do you leave these people? Who is supposed to continue with whatever it is that the project was undertaking? And that is one of the key things that the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority is addressing, and to make sure that we have the coordinate, at least in a way, have a coordinated way in terms of implementing our intervention, so that we can have them targeted. And under the same act was also the establishment of the registrar of MSC, the one that my boss talked about. And the registrar of MSC is domiciled at Micro and Small Enterprises Authority. Now, why do we have the registrar of MSC? You know, the MSC, some of there's issues that we have so many registrations. But for this one, the specific reason for this registration was to create a database, a man information base, whereby now, like Madam Karen said, we don't work from feelings, but we work from facts. We say we have 10,000 women within Nairobi who are doing agribusiness. So if any stakeholders want to work within agribusiness, knows that we have 10,000, they are either micro or they are small. So we stop working from just the fact that there are MSMEs, but working from the fact that where are these MSMEs? What are they doing? What are their turnover? What are the challenges that they are facing? That is one of the key things about the registrar of MSCs. And how do we go about this registration? Because we cannot just come to the field and say, okay, line up, we are doing what? We are registering you. So we have 4 types of registration. And the first one, we can register you as a micro enterprise. If you want to be known, even to go to the bank, and you want to identify yourself, I'm a micro enterprise. So we give you a certificate as a micro enterprise. And how we come up with a micro enterprise is through how the Act defines a micro enterprise. The Act defines in terms of the numbers of the employees and also in terms of the turnover and the turnovers. If you also want a certificate to come and be registered as a small enterprise, you will come to the registrar of MSCs and we will register you as a small enterprise given the definition of the Act. We also register association, like Madam talked about. Now, whatever it is that people are addressing here are association, but mostly there are employers associations. But you have a group like this one, which is graduating, and you have a unique thing that is joining you, and you want to continue this journey together as a group. You can come to Micro and Small Enterprise Authority, and we register you, and we give you a certificate. That certificate, you can use it for the purpose of getting finance. You can use it for advocacy. You can use it even in other government institutions to use the certificate for any purpose that the group would want. We also register umbrella organizations. Umbrella organization, like what we are talking about KEPSA. KEPSA is more or less an umbrella organization. It is starting all the businesses within the country. So it is more or less as an umbrella association. So you also register umbrella organizations, and in umbrella organization we are saying, okay, you people, you are borders in Nairobi, you have borders in Kajiado, you have borders in Makueni. Can you come together and form an umbrella organization that you can use for the purpose of advocating for your rights within the government and also within the stakeholders. So those ones are the key things that happened in 2012 with the Act. Now, moving forward, we have the MSME policy of 2020. Now, the MSME policy of 2020 looked at a few things that were not addressed in another policy that was of 2005, and that was the issue of entrepreneurship culture and also the issue of formalization. Now, with the MSME of 2025 that was spoken here, One of the key things that the the policy is looking to address is including women. Inclusion of women, youth, people with disability, and marginalized people in every program that is being undertaken by within the sector. And one of the things that you have to know as a government, whichever programs that you are advocating or you're implementing, we also have the rule of 30-70. That program must have that % women, and as micro and small enterprises authority, that is something that we do to take care of, even in all our projects that we are taking, even the one that we are talking about, the one for the youth, national youth opportunity towards advancement. That thing must be taken into account that 30% are women. So that is a general rule within the government. So those are some of the policies that are being undertaken. And within that particular policy, especially the draft policy of 2020 to 2025, we are also talking about what Madam Esther was talking about, unified licensing. Because that is another issue that is facing the MSME sector. And the government will listen and we hear and we work with you and we know what is happening. So we are also talking about the regulatory reforms, whereby we are talking with other stakeholders within the government, especially through the forum which is being called MSME Connect. I know most of you have heard about it, to see how we can come up with a unified licensing program that will be simpler in terms of MSMEs accepting their license, in a way that it will not hurt them, but it will help them to grow. So those are the regulatory reforms that we are implementing, and we are moving in the right directions. We can tell you the conversation is good, and we are getting somewhere. The government is also using, through the policy, is also implementing what is called credit guarantee scheme. The credit guarantee scheme was started during 2020 by the President, Uhuru Kenyatta, for the resilience of the sector. And now we want to enhance it through the policy. Now it becomes a part of the policy, whereby now when it comes to the credit guarantee scheme, what we are saying that the government, when you go to the bank and you want a loan and you don't have a collateral, the government will take 50 to 80% risk. That if you default, the government will do what? Will pay. So we are looking at establishing a credit guarantee company that will perpetuate the issue of those who don't have a collateral, and the government is not, and the financial institutions are not giving them loans because of lack of collateral. And also the government is also advocating, through the policy again, the issue of credit score in terms of behavioral credit score instead of under the Hustler Fund. The one we are talking, have you been repaying? How is your credit?
We are smiling over Hustler Fund, yeah?
No, it started with Hustler Fund. Let me say, it started with what? With Hustler Fund. But it is something the government is working on to make sure that it has been incorporated in other funding, especially even the banks. You see, it is just a dialogue that it has worked with Hustler Fund. Can we try to do it with other institutions?
Yes.
So that one is also under the policy.
Janet, I'm going to ask you to wind up in 1 minute. For sure.
You know when it comes to this sector, I'm somehow passionate about it. I can talk and talk and talk.
But you picked 3 great points, eh?
So thank you so much. Maybe I can end up there and we'll continue the conversation as we proceed.
Thank you so much. Have you seen the government have some interesting, how many of you know about MSME Connect, like she spoke about? Now you know. And please, they also are there. I saw their banner there too. And please find out when this happens, be part of it. All these reforms you want, the one-stop shop harmonization, that's the only way you're going to tell them. Now she's learned about your problem in this forum. You get to be the MSME Connect so that you share much more.
Let me just put something ahead. We also have Biashara Center, whereby we have all the institutions, and it is that affect AMA in one way or another have got an effect. AMA affect the MSMEs, that is the KRA, we have the KEPS, we have the KILDI, and it is located at Kariobangi MSC Center of Excellence, and it's at the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority.
Correct. Now, Shibane represents the Nairobi region. If you are outside Nairobi, please note that MSME is also in other regions, right? Yes, please find out from your region or from her where you can come get hold of your regional operation. Like those, please don't be surprised that you're in Kiambu. She'll tell you where to get your Kiambu person. Your Kiambu Janet needs to be found, and your Machakos Janet needs to be found. So please ask Janet how you can connect. And thank you so much, Janet. You know what, she always speaks, there's something new I learned from her, and just the rest of you. Every time she speaks, there's something new I learn. Oh my gosh, we don't know all this information. I think it has been said by all panelists. People shall perish because of lack of knowledge. Now the information is here, the menu has been set. Let's all take advantage of that. Now I know Matthew and our darling MCs are always swallowing me up. So I know you all have many questions. But I'm going to request that please take the opportunity on the stands, over lunch, over tea break, to please ask all those questions, right? So that at least we give the other people an opportunity to share, okay? Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry we didn't pick one or two, we really wanted to, but you can see how these women are parading in front of me. Thank you so much, my darling panelists. Okay?
You've done well. Please clap for her. I believe I'm speaking for many people if I say this.